Let's compare this expensive, heavy and professional camera rig with this small, affordable but powerful camera rig and find out when and why you may choose this one instead of this and when the expensive one is really necessary. Some creators show their super complex, expensive and good-looking rigs and the new updates made all the time, while others tell us that a complex and expensive rig is not necessary to create good content. But the tricky part comes when you already built something and you don't know if upgrading it will help. So this is what I want to figure out in this video. What's the real practical difference between rigs according to the type of YouTube videos you make, like talking head, client work, travel vlogs or stream? When exactly do we need a camera rig? Can we really do it with a basic setup? And more importantly, when specifically do we need an expensive camera rig? When it's justified to invest a ton of money? That's what we are about to find out. I create videos and I love camera gear for a long time. I'm super passionate about videography and I tested a tremendous number of accessories in a lot of situations. Cameras, lenses, microphones, basically everything about content creation gear. I discovered that every situation requires a different kind of rig and we need to take this step by step. And when you don't know what or if you need to build something, start making a list with some questions and answers and you will figure it out fast. Let's see the real difference between rigs according to the type of content you want to make. Let's start with talking head. Do we need to rig the camera up for a talking head video? Do we really need something complex, something special? Let's ask some questions. How will the camera be positioned for a talking head video? In front of us in a fixed position. So, do we need to have good image stabilization? No, the camera is on a tripod. What do we need? First, a good tripod. Do we need a top or a side handle? No, the camera is on a tripod. Do we need zoom? We can zoom in some exceptions, but 99% of the time we don't. So we can go with the prime lens, which can be cheaper. Do we need a camera or lens that are super good in low light situations? Because we shoot in a fixed position, we can control the light. So we are not going to raise the ISO over, let's say, 6400. Do I want to have that blur around me? Or do I have a great background that I want people to see it? Or I'm too close to the background and I can't make that blur. If I want some blur, I can go with a prime lens with f1.4. If not, I can stay with my kit lens. Do I need to record the sound internally or I can record it separately and have a real studio quality? Because we are in a fixed position, we can use a studio microphone connected to a recorder or a computer and record great audio quality. And so on. We ask questions, answers and find out exactly what we need. For a talking head video like this, or a stream, it's almost the same. We don't need to build a super complicated rig. Of course, if you really want to do some builds, you can do it, but it's not 100% necessary. A camera, a good tripod, a good light, a lens according to your space and needs, a good microphone, and it's enough. You can do full-time YouTube with this equipment. So in this case, we don't really need a cage, side or top handle, rods, power adapters and many other things. A big rig can be uncomfortable in a case like this, in a small space like this. So why invest in an expensive rig if the final result won't be different? Does the audience watching the video feel the difference? No. Yes, you can have a little bit of comfort using some accessories, but this is something optional. We can use the camera as it is with a lens and a good audio recording setup. I have a video dedicated to a super talking head setup if you want to build one. But what about a travel vlog? Is it the same? No. How the camera will be positioned for a travel vlog? In many ways, like selfie style, or you use it to shoot something or put it on a small tripod. Do we need image stabilization? Yes, we shoot while walking, but can we stabilize the footage with a top or side handle? Not really. Maybe we can have 1-2 shots using a handle, but most of the time we don't. We can use a gimbal all the time. That will be heavy and uncomfortable walking on the street with a gimbal all the time. So we need a camera with good active stabilization, like ZV-E1. Do we need a cage? Well, because we put the camera down everywhere, we have it in our bag, we use it often. Yes, it's recommended to protect the camera and sometimes it can help us in other ways. Do we need to attach other things to the camera for travel? Most of the time we need a microphone, and if we want to attach more, something like a small light, This is where the cage will help us. Do we need zoom? Sometimes yes. So it will be much easier to have a zoom lens rather than a few prime lenses and change the lens all the time. A medium investment in a rig for travel will have a real impact on how practical, how easy to use the rig will be, but too much will be uncomfortable. So keep this in mind. The audience will feel if you don't use a good shotgun microphone, if you don't have stabilization at all, if you use only a super wide lens, or if you struggle to use the camera because the setup is too big and heavy. In this particular case, a minimum rig will help you to protect the camera, to attach some things to the camera, but you don't want to build something very big and heavy because it will be hard to travel with it. But what about the client work? How the camera will be positioned. In this case, we don't need a selfie style, but we can use the camera on a gimbal, on a tripod, or use it handheld for a long time. So do we need image stabilization? Yes, but most of the time we can use a gimbal, or when we use it handheld, we can have both hands on the camera and hold it pretty stable. In this case, it's a top or a side handle justified? Yes, we can use it very often in a situation like a conference, behind the scenes, or documentary, either a top or side handle. Holding the camera for a long time without a side or a top handle can be a hard job. With this kind of grip, we can achieve much better stabilization and a long time of holding the camera without getting tired. Do we need an advanced camera or image quality? Yes, working for clients requires most of the time a premium quality, so investing in a 10 bits camera is justified. Investing in a 4K 120 FPS camera is something that you may use for client work. Having a camera that doesn't overheat is required, or using a camera without a rolling shutter. Do we need a camera with dual card slot? Working for clients can include shooting with a big budget, and if something is missing, can drive a huge cost. So a backup card is something you want to invest in. Do we need 32 bits float audio or a complex audio setup? For sure, sound is on top of the list when it comes to client work, so our rig should include a professional sound recording system. I like to have on my rig a 32 bits float recorder because I want to be 100% sure that sound is always good without clipping or other problems. In this particular case, we can find ourselves in many situations using the camera differently all the time. Sometimes for an interview, as an example, we can use a minimum setup, but most of the time we want to be prepared for everything. Investing in this case is justified. Having such a variety of shots when you need quality in every matter, when you need comfort to shoot for hours, when you need backup, and when you really need to rely on your rig for everything. Look, this rig for this video, it's a pain, it's a disaster. To work with this big rig in a small space like this, and for this kind of video, the difference in quality is insignificant. Sometimes a big expensive rig can be unhandy when it's not necessary. Yes, I'm passionate about rigs and setups, but I need to be aware of when a big and professional rig is required or when it's necessary to invest a ton of money in a rig. Sometimes we can make more money from a talking head video than from working for clients. So investing according to the amount of money earned is not really a thing in this case. So what do we need to keep in mind when we invest and build the rig? The most important aspect is how the rig will impact our content to be received better by the audience. Will people understand our message better, or it will be much pleasant to watch because we used a top handle? In some situations like a B-roll or documentary, yes. In some situations like selfie style shooting, it will be just something more to carry and the impact will be sometimes negative. People will understand our message better, or they will have a more enjoyable experience if we use a gimbal on a travel vlog all the time. Not really. Using a gimbal all the time for a travel vlog will give an unnatural feel to that video. So in this case, it's better to invest in a camera with a good active stabilization, learn how to hold the camera, and that video will have a more natural vibe. The difference between a shotgun mic connected to the camera or a 32 bits float recorder with a proper microphone for an interview will have an impact for the audience. The difference between a shotgun mic connected to the camera and a 32 bits float recorder with a proper mic will impact the experience of the viewer when it comes to an interview. 100%. Every investment should have a reason that impacts the audience. Do you think this rig is cool? I think so. I really like this rig, the image quality, it's superb. What I can do with this rig, it's amazing. But imagine using it to travel. That will be a joke to travel with this rig. Put on a paper exactly what kind of shot you want to do and you need to create your content. Think about what kind of rig you need and invest exactly in what is necessary. This system of questions and answers can help you a lot if you don't know how to take the best decision. This can save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and it can be pretty handy sometimes when you don't know what to do. But if you want to make a build to use it for client work, you already saw my big rig that I use for my clients, I have dedicated videos about this build, step by step, how I made this rig, every aspect of it. So watch those videos, get inspired, and see you next time.